right now is dire.
Recent rainfall wasn't enough to help the water level at Jacobs Well. You can see why experts describe the water supply in Central Texas as dire.
Declining aquifer levels and exceptional drought conditions are keeping part of Hays County under an emergency drought stage, the most severe phase.
The KVUE Defenders have been looking into critical water issues across Central Texas, speaking with those dealing with those problems.
And as investigative reporter Jenny Lee tells us, it's now up to voters to decide if $1 billion of the state's budget surplus will ease our water worries.
Every month, Keaton Holscher collects data from water wells, like the Old 100 well in Wimberley. Hi, Beans. With Beans the corgi by his side, Holscher measures pressure and water levels.
Look, the blue line there is the water level. We're getting about 132.39 feet. That is pretty low for this one.
Data that helps the well technician track long-term trends.
Up until about late August, most of the wells were dropping pretty quickly. And that was across the board for the district.
The Old 100 is one of 60 wells the Hays Trinity Groundwater Conservation District monitors. Charlie Flatten is the general manager.
The Old 100 well is important because it is a window into the aquifer.
Flatten says that window shows the Trinity Aquifer at its lowest level since they started keeping records more than 20 years ago. And with the area way behind in rainfall the past 2 years and water demand nearly doubling, Flatten says the Aquifer District issued its first emergency drought declaration last year, asking tens of thousands of customers in western Hays County, including Wimberley, Dripping Springs, Driftwood, and Wood Creek, to cut back on their water use by 40%.
We really need to think very carefully about how we use this very valuable water.
Especially with the rapid growth in Hays County. The Census Bureau ranks Hays as the second fastest growing county in the state, from just over 99,000 residents in 2000 to more than 269,000 in 2022, about a 171% jump, meaning the number of water customers in the Aquifer District also went up, from more than 36,000 in 2010 to a little more than 53,000 in 2020. Flatten says filling up the Trinity Aquifer isn't as simple as getting rain. It has to be the right kind.
So what we want is slow, steady, constant rain for the next 6 months. The best estimate that we have is somewhere in the neighborhood of 5% of all of the rain that falls actually makes it down into the aquifer.
The drought has made walking in Cypress Creek possible.
You can walk in almost every creek in the hill country right now.
Perhaps the most glaring example of the area's depleted water supply is a nearly empty Jacobs Well spring. Compare now to a healthy version of the artesian spring in 2018.
Low water levels are nothing new here at Jacobs Well, but Charlie Flatten says it has never been this bad ever. There is zero flow, and it has been like this for the past several months. The last time Jacobs Well was open for swimming was back in June of 2022, where water levels came up to my waist, a far cry from where it is now.
But there is another culprit for Jacobs Well running dry. Flatten says Aqua Texas is over-pumping the Trinity Aquifer. The Aquifer District fined the water provider nearly $500,000 for pumping more than 89 million gallons over its drought-adjusted limit of about 101.6 million gallons in 2022. He says Aqua Texas has already pumped nearly 84 million gallons over limit this year.
They have overproduced their permit. They continue to overproduce their permit.
Flatten says Aqua is negotiating that six-figure fine. But if it misses the payment deadline at the end of the year, he says Aqua's permit may not be renewed in 2024. We reached out to Aqua Texas. In a statement, the Aqua Texas area manager said, "We are deeply committed to our customers in this region. We're hoping we can continue to work through this with Hays Trinity GCD for the good of our customers and the entire community." Those critical water issues are why Flatten and other water advocates are pushing for Proposition 6, a constitutional amendment that would create a new billion-dollar water fund.
We need new water, right?
Water supply needs and our aging infrastructure problems have gotten worse.
Jeremy Mazur is a senior policy advisor with Texas 2036, a public policy think tank. He says if voters approve Prop 6, the new Texas Water Fund will help create new water supplies like aquifer storage and recovery systems, desalination, and wastewater reuse. Prop 6 would also start fixing deteriorating water systems, especially for rural communities. But Mazur says the $1 billion is just a fraction of the investment needed between now and 2070. That's when the state population is expected to increase by more than 70%, from 29.7 million in 2020 to 51.5 million in 2070.
We know that the bill is going to be in excess of $150 billion over the next 50 years.
Mazur says $150 billion is the total cost for developing new water supplies, fixing drinking water systems, and upgrading old wastewater systems. Aging infrastructure is part of the reason water loss is a huge problem in Texas. State data shows Texas loses 51 gallons of water per service connection every day. That's enough water to supply the cities of Austin, Fort Worth, El Paso, Laredo, and Lubbock for an entire year.
If Hays County can direct some of that money to the utilities to fix some of their leaky systems, that's water conserved. And that's more water that we have in the future.
Meantime, Keaton Hosher will keep monitoring well conditions.
They're all seeing very low water levels in relation to everything that we've recorded beforehand.
And hope enough Texans support Prop 6 on Election Day. For the KVUE Defenders, I'm Jenny Lee.
Thank you, Jenny. Now, Election Day is November 7th, and for more information on Prop 6, just look for this story on our website, KVUE.com.